On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, Dean is a dick, the Wraith is a creep,
and don't hit yourself in the face with rocks. Let's do this. Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Liz.
And we're going to talk about season 13, episode 3, Patience.
So it doesn't say this in the Supernatural wiki, but I'm just going to say that it was probably named after the Guns N' Roses song Patience.
Sure.
Sure. Why not? Let's go with it.
My brain just keeps going to Ghosts and Patience, the character, which is a funny character. Patience!
Patience. I do like Patience.
Yeah.
She lives in the dirt and she gets horny.
She does for Trevor.
So this is Ghost, the television show on. This is the U.S. version of it, not the UK version.
Yeah. So that's what my brain
I'm sure.
And I know this was way after. I know that's way after this show, clearly, but still.
Well, now I'm like wondering if there can't be a UK version of it because Patience is a Puritan.
That's true.
So she couldn't.
That character wouldn't carry over.
That wouldn't make sense in the UK. I mean, I guess they could, but I don't know. If you're in the UK, do you know what a Puritan is? Do you know what pilgrims are? Does that make any sense to you? Like, yeah. I mean, they don't get taught about pilgrims, probably.
Probably not. They're probably like those fuckers that left. I know.
Yeah. Interesting, things that. Anyhow, so what have you been up to?
Minneapolis and puppy problems, but fine now. I don't know. Yeah, I had one of my worst travel days I've had in a long time lately, and I don't like to bitch, but it's been a good story, so I won't belabor it any much further, except for the fact that I was supposed to leave for a flight at noon, and the airline gods frowned upon me, and my flight left at 2 a.m. So it was not the trip I was hoping for, but
at least
I got to see Minneapolis. I got there.
You got to wait some of it at home.
I did get to wait some of it at home.
You didn't have to wait it all in the airport, which would be the worst.
It would. But yeah, and I got to my destination and, got to see some really cool old theaters in Minneapolis, and then I came home. I feel like that's it. I know I got to see some really cool local bands in Dallas last weekend that were up for a cool award, and I've been occupied, I guess, and now I'm sleepy. So fucking had to go to the vet today. So yeah. How about you? You've got news.
Well, it is. So I published season 2 of Lore and More, which I know is right on the coattails of season 1. But so I knew there would still probably be typos and stuff. And my mom is reading the proof version of the paperback for her too. And she was like, do you want me to tell you where the typos are? And I'm like, not really. Those are just of all the people who I want to be my editor, it's not my mom.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, I caught one, and the thing is, I caught a typo today in a name of a chapter because it's the name of the person that it's about in French is Martha with an E. And the chapter title auto-corrected itself to Martha with an A. So, and she kind of goes by either because Martha could be, but it's just kind of annoying. And I was just like, oh, son of a bitch. And it's just one of those small, I noticed it and then I'm like, I know someone else will, but I was just like, God damn it.
Yeah.
And every time that you go, I mean, this is the joy of self-publishing and not having an editor. And I know everyone's like, you should hire editors. I'm like, I know I should, but finding editors to do this is not easy. And I don't want to spend the money on it until I start making a little bit. Like once I make a little bit, then I can put more in, and then maybe, and there can be new additions or whatever. But it's also really hard to figure out what niche to market this in.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like fandom and...
But it's not really
history
fandom
and mythology,
because
and
there's nothing in the lore that directly relates to the show, right? Like there's things that it's supernatural adjacent.
Yes.
And, for those of you who are just now joining our podcast, or you don't know, we do lore every episode or something or more, which is sometimes we do a quiz or we do something else, right? So these volumes of the books are the conglomerations of everything we do for a season. And so just like the show is linear, but the monsters of the week are not. Right. There isn't really going to be there's not going to be a necessary relationship between a Rougarou and a vampire or the mystery spot, like all those things that happen in the season that we talk about during an episode. Like, well, then having to pick a genre for libraries or for bookstores, and that's how people find it, right? And they're like, well, I can say it's nonfiction, and that's about as far as abroad I can get. And because like some of it's folklore, some of it's true crime, some of it is
it's all over. Interesting.
So that's the quandary that I'm doing. And so part of me is just like, I think I may just get as many volumes out as I can, and then just kind of market them as a whole.
Yeah, it's a package. Well,
I don't know. I will figure it out as I go along.
The link's in our link tree, so feel free to go on our Instagram and the website and all that.
Yeah, so make sure you follow us on Instagram. Here's our pitch. Follow us on Instagram. Go to YouTube. Watch videos, because I actually want you to get some eyeballs on them. Because I'm stuck in YouTube jail right now because I accidentally got one videos that had too many views, and then they stuck me in freaking jail. Goddamn algorithm! I'm gonna keep bitching about it. That's probably also why I'm in YouTube jail. But so I need people to go watch videos and to like them and review them and interact with them. So get me out of jail.
Get her out of YouTube jail and order a book.
YouTube jail and order a book. So I feel like leaving the corporate world wasn't a complete end. No, I'm saying my life's validation be based on whether or not selling these books is a success or anything. But
well, the pressure's on now. Thanks.
Yeah. No, I understand. Art is art, and I made a thing, and sometimes the world compensates you for those things, and hopefully sometimes the world will. So anyhow, that's what I've been up to. So I'm just, I'm being, I guess I'm going to say I'm isolating, but I'm just doing a lot of book editing and writing and dealing with cats and other people's appointments and driving back and forth and doing estate sales and trying to figure out what the fuck an estate sale is, and kind of just letting the people who are doing it do it.
Yeah.
I'm it's very hard to not interfere, but I also kind of fear, I don't know. Do I want more updates than they're giving me?
Probably not.
I don't know. So I'm doing an estate sale this week that started today, so that's fun. And so hopefully I can clean out a bunch of stuff. I'm learning some things, you can some things you can just take to auction, so that's nice. Yeah. So some things are just going directly to auction, and some jewelry pieces are just melting down, which is crazy. And so anyhow, that's my fun life is still just
swinging from hoop
and swinging from a hoop, which is the other thing that I do with my time. Yeah. I have 1 month and 1 week until my performance, and they're selling tickets for it, and where the space is going to be, they're like, we can only have 75 tickets sold. I'm like, 75 people are coming to this?
Well, that's amazing.
How about 20 people? I like 20. That seems like a good crowd. Or how about the people who are like, because the 20 people are like those people I know at the studio. So just,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about patience. All you need is a little patience. Season 13, episode 3. It first aired October 26, 2017, and was directed by Robert Singer. And last season, Robert Singer did episode 3, The Foundry. He did 9, First Blood, and then he finished out with 23, All Along the Watchtower. This was written by Behrens, and he did The Foundry with Singer in episode 3. Then he did quite a few other episodes, and the last one he did in season 12 was Who We Are. So, but still, he was heavily involved in the writing for season 12. So some of that makes sense when we talk about where this episode went. So in our recap, Gas is dead. Jack is a Nephilim. He's Lucifer's son and more powerful than his parents. Race suck you dry, and you can see their true form in mirrors. Asmodeus likes white suits. Dean doesn't trust Jack or anything going right for them, and Dean will kill Jack. That was our recap.
And we open in Omaha, Nebraska, where it is a young blonde lady closing her psychic shop up for the night. A young man enters and he wants a tarot reading, and she's because he's in crisis or something, and she's like, and then he teases her for not being able to read his mind.
I hate that shit. Like that joke of shouldn't you know what I want because you're a psychic. Like, that joke is never funny. Never ever say that to a card reader. It just seems like the rudest question you could ever say.
It does seem rude.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm a psychic counselor, not a mind reader. But so that she's going to read his energy, and she holds her hands near his face, and his aura goes fucking ape shit. And he sees his monster face, and she screams.
Yeah. And he stabs her hand to the table.
It's very upsetting.
And now that he knows that she's the real deal, he
sniffs her.
Yeah, and then the thing comes out of his arm, and we have never decided what to call that thing. And just so we have the gross thing that comes out of his arm, and he stabs her in the neck, and then he comes. I'm sorry, this is what it looks like he does.
I was like, whoa. I was like, did we watch different versions? But no, it's gross. He's very.
That is what his face did.
And
he made an O face.
He did. Yeah. I don't know what you call it. Is it a fang? Is it a claw? Is it a stinger? I don't know. It's gross. Comes out of his hand. So we cut to a bunch of beer bottles and Rip This Joint by the Rolling Stones playing, because Dean is alone in his room with his headphones on. And we see
a laptop. And there's just...
And a laptop. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just not... I don't know. It is not a... It looks like it smells bad.
Yes. And Jack is caressing the wall in his room. So Sam goes to check in on him, and he's brought a laptop. He has the video that we saw Kelly record for Jack before she died. And he has to show Jack how to use the USB and press play.
And he does not, because that USB just went right in the right way the first time they put it in. And if it was really had a USB, be like, okay, so first you're going to put it in and it's going to be upside down. And then you're going to take it out and you're going to think you flipped it the right way, but you still did it. You just flipped it 180 degrees somehow and it still doesn't fit. So finally, then you'll get it in the right way. And that's how you put a USB drive in.
Correct. So Jack's going to watch this sweet video about where Kelly talks about how, she always wanted to be a mom and blah, blah, blah. So Sam is getting a call from their old friend, Missouri, and she needs their help. And then as that's going on, we do hear where Kelly tells Jack that, she's got an angel watch. He's going to be amazing. And he has an angel watching over him.
Right. And we have not seen or heard from Missouri since there was a side reference to her in season 7, but we have not heard from her since season 1.
Yeah.
And fun supernatural bit of trivia. She was supposed to be in the season finale of season 1, but she couldn't because of timing. And so that's what they invented the character Bobby Singer for. So if she'd been there, we would have had a Missouri psychic kind of thing going along. We never would have had Bobby Singer.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So Dean comes out and finds Sam wrapping up a call with Jody because he got the call from Missouri and they're like, oh my God, it's been over a decade. But she needs help. So we're going to send Jody because we're dealing with Jack. And Dean is like, WTF, I want a case. Because of course Dean needs a case because Dean's being Dean. So and because he does not believe that he should be babysitting the Antichrist or that they need Jack in any way, shape, or form. So he is going to go find out what Missouri needs. And yeah. So we cut to Jody at the psychic shop where Missouri has met her and says that Dee Dee, the chick that died, was her protege and pretty much like the only family she had. Dean shows up and we get hugs. And immediately Missouri's being a psychic.
Right. And when he rolls up before he gets there, she says she always did love that car. And I thought that was really sweet.
It was.
And she's being a psychic. She says she's sorry for all his losses. Mm-hmm. And then Jody asks Dean how he's doing. And he says dandy. And then sometimes just like, don't ask that question. You know, he's not doing good. Ask something else.
Yeah. So we go inside the shop and they're discussing what about the victim and we know pretty fast that it's a wraith. So, but Missouri's specialty is reading objects. So she goes over to the door and she touches it and she sees the guy come in and pretend to be a customer that needed help, and sees that he's a wraith and that he has a taste for psychics.
And she has flashes and visions and she says the word James.
Yeah.
And then we go to the bunker. And Sam is trying to explain to Jack how to focus his powers by moving a pencil with his mind. And Jack is just staring at the pencil and it doesn't move.
It does not. So we see Missouri gets on the phone and she calls James, who we figure out is her son. And apparently she's not supposed to call him, but it's important because she had a vision of something bad. And he just basically hangs up on her. It's very sad.
It is. And she gives Dean an address in Georgia, and that's where we all learn that that's her son, and that she's got a granddaughter too, and her name is Patience. Like, oh yeah, that's the name of this episode. And so she's there, and the wraith is going for them, but she can't go because it would complicate things. And she tells him the hard truth that her son doesn't want anything to do with her. But you got to save my family, Dean. You got to save them.
Yes. So Jack can't move a pencil with his head, and so he is very sad and frustrated about it. And so Sam's like, well, what was it like when you used your powers before? You know, and he's like, well, it was just like breathing or blinking. It just happened. But Asmodeus made him in his head. But basically, Jack doesn't want to do this anymore, and Sam's just staring at him, so they decide to take a break.
Yeah, and Sam's like, I'm going to go get some food. I'm like, doesn't Jack need food too? Right? I feel like he's been in his room.
He enjoyed the burgers. I don't know.
He enjoyed the burgers. He drank some beer. Doesn't Jack need a shower? You know, other human things that maybe you should be working on. What? So, I mean, I know you're a bunch of boys, but think about it. All right. So then we go back to Omaha, where the wraith is back at Dee Dee's. Yeah. And Patience is also back at Dee Dee's. And there she finds some lithomantic gems that Dee Dee had that Patience had given her.
Right. And yeah. So the dude shows up, Wraith is there, and she's like, you should spare me. I've already seen your face. And she's not going to scream for him. She knows how this goes. And if I run, you'll catch me and I die. If I stay, I'm going to die. So it doesn't matter because my people will murder his ass, is what she says to him.
Yeah, she's figured out this is the one way of, she's basically played through all the different scenarios that it could work out. And she figured out this is the one way that he gets murdered. And then he takes his arm thingy out and she's just like, nope, I'm not going to scream for you. And I already told you that. And she just like says tough. And then it cuts through her, you know. And we go to Georgia high school.
Yeah. And we've got a young girl coming out of the gym in volleyball gear, and she wants her bookworm friend to join the team. And we figure out the bookworm friend is Patience. And she's like, no, I'm all worried about my schoolwork. Sorry, don't have time for this, even though you're going to test me by throwing this volleyball at me. And her friend's like, going to go take a shower because she smells bad. So we get lights flickering, and Patience closes her locker, and she's walking down the hallway, but then she sees a pool of blood, which is very distressing. And then she sees a dead Missouri sitting on the floor who says her name. It's all very upsetting. And then the wraith grabs Patience from behind, and she wakes up, and her alarm goes off. And she has to go get ready for school now, because that's not an unsettling way to start your day.
Yeah, that's always good. You know, like getting up after a good nightmare. So she gets dressed and she goes to her dad, who is James, in his office. And she just tells him that she had a nightmare that her grandma was in, and he just blows it off as being a dream.
Yeah.
And we go to an on-the-road gas station where Dean is getting snacks and gas when on the TV, the news breaks about Missouri's murder.
Yeah. And it's a big deal because it's the second murder recently in Omaha, and
at the same place.
Yeah. And so he goes outside and
don't go to his psychic shop.
He goes talk to Jody, and he's upset because he knows that Missouri knew that this was going to happen, but also their job is to go protect her family now. So they go to James's house and knock on the door, and he thinks they're selling something and is uninterested. But quickly they clarify, and they get to drop the bad news that your mom's dead. And that she's killed by a wraith.
Which is even more fun to say. And so he's just like, I just talked to her. And Dean's like, nope, she died last night at 9 p.m. And Jody then is like, and it's coming for you, and it's coming for Patience.
Yeah. And he's really sad because he's like, I hung up on her. Yeah, that sucks. So we cut back to the high school, but it's it's implied. This is actually at the high school, not in a dream high school now.
Right.
So anyways, we've got the friend and Patience, and they're talking about a boy and, who's failing chemistry. And we get the same little partial sequence about, from the dream about her needing to go take a shower. And Patience is kind of freaked out by that because now we're like, oh, wait, this is something she foresaw. But anyways, she starts hearing like whispers, and she gets a flash of her dream. She's in her locker, and then she closes the door. And when she closes the locker door, the wraith is there. So he I don't know. It's a little creepy, right? Like he's pinning a high school girl to the fucking lockers.
Yeah, and he's saying things like "good girl" as he's doing it, and it's real gross. And she fights him, and she breaks the arm thingy, which is also gross.
Yeah,
I hate it worse when it breaks. Like I hate it when it's there. I hate it more when it breaks off. And then there's a shot, and Dean shoots at him but misses. And I'm like, how did you miss him? He was like right there. He was not moving around a lot. Like you had a pretty good Dean, what the fuck is wrong with you? We're like, okay. So the wraith gets to all the way to the other side of the door, and he jams it.
Yeah, which is crazy too.
And he has like a broom thing, and he's like, I'm just going to use my broom thing. And Dean's like, okay, I'm going to go the other way. And he almost gets run over by the guy in a van.
Because of course the creepy wraith has a van.
Of course he does.
Just saying. So anyways, Dean goes back in, and Jody is impressed that Patience broke off the wraith stabby thing. And they're like, oh, by the way, that guy stalks psychics. And she's like, I'm not a psychic. I'm normal. I just have deja vu, but my grandma was a psychic. Like, they're like, yeah, we were sent to protect you. And so she's, unconvinced because she is under the impression that Missouri is a fraud and didn't care about her and her dad and walked out on them after her mom died. Sounds like there's some mixed stories in this family.
There are. And Dean's just like, I hate to break it to you, but your dad's been lying to you because that doesn't sound like the Missouri I know. And that's not how she was. And she's like, why do you keep saying was?
Yeah. And so, by the way, she was a very nice lady, and she dead. That's the message she gets after she's got attacked by some creepy dude in the hallway with a spiky thing in his hand. We've got some fun facts to drop on you, ma'am.
You're psychic. Your grandmother is dead.
Also psychic and not terrible.
And was killed by this thing that you just broke its little thingy off with. So we're going to go back from there to the bunker. What?
She broke off the murder weapon. Ugh. Weird.
Ew, that wasn't a grandmother. Okay, so we go back to the bunker, and Sam is reading a self-help book on the drama of the gifted child when he realizes that Jack is gone.
Well, he's surveilling Jack. It's very.
That's how you bond with him. You monitor him on a surveillance camera.
Okay. But then he finds him sitting in a corner. And he shares that he did move the pencil. But anyways, Sam's trying to understand, and trying to, talk to him about. He's expressing that some things seem easy. Jack's saying some things are easy, from the throwing people or opening gates, but anyway, we're getting the conversation of Jack's evil. That's the big thing. What is Jack's powers? How does he activate them? And is he evil or not? And this is when Jack shares the fun fact that Dean told him that he would kill him. And Sam is not thrilled.
No, he's not, because it's not a good thing to say to a newborn celestial man-child. And Jack is just also super confused because, he's like, look, my mom, I saw this video of her and she is like, said I had a choice to be good, but she's dead because of me. And I already do bad things and I hurt people, and he can't do the one good, stupid thing that Sam wants him to do. So therefore he must be evil. And Sam just keeps trying to talk him down, right? And trying to say like, it's none of his fault. And Sam's just been like pressuring him too much and he's going to back off, right?
Yeah. And Jack's like, why are you being nice? And Sam's like, well, I can relate because I felt like I don't belong and had darkness inside of me, and being scared of who you are. And so my family helped me.
I was sucking on that demon blood.
Sweet, sweet demon blood. But Castiel and Dean helped him, and he's not evil, so Jack doesn't have to be evil either. Oh.
Yes, and that's nice. And so we're going back to James's house, and Patience is there. Like, we're going to talk about you lying to me about Missouri leaving us.
Mm-hmm. And Jody and Dean just have to stand awkwardly off to the side and watch this family drama unfold. And we find out that James had faith in Missouri's power for a long time until Patience's mom got sick. Because Missouri said that she would be all right. She promised that, and she was wrong, and he couldn't forgive her for that. And that's very fucking sad.
Yeah, that's hardcore. That's a really bad thing. But then we also find out that Missouri was hunting all the time as he was growing up. And I would like to see the prequel of this, of Missouri the Hunter, of her just like being all like sassy and like in the 70s, like running around in like a car like the Impala, like her and like John Winchester meeting up in like their different cars, and like they just, I don't know. I see that being a really great prequel. Anyways, but she was a hunter, but that made him, and this is something I think the boys can relate to. At least Dean is there, but he grew up being afraid of monsters. Right. Yeah. Instead of wanting to fight them, he was afraid of them. And he also didn't want to be encouraging this idea to Patience that she was psychic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's like, yeah, but you're 18 now. You don't have any powers. It's great. And she's like, fun fact, the dream I had last night, I saw it happen before it happened. So maybe I am psychic. And they're like, and Jody's like, yeah, this wraith only targets psychic. So she's definitely psychic. So James like, all right, we got to go on the run then. Let's do this. And they're going to go pack up. So Patience goes to her bedroom and she holds on to this brooch for a moment. And
I was like, is it a comb? Is it a brooch? Like, what? I was like, brooch. I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a brooch, but it looked like a brooch. But it could have been a few things. That was my guess. And she has a childhood memory of watching James and Missouri talk after her mom's funeral. And it's him telling Missouri not to poison or interfere with Patience. So, yeah. And but Missouri gives this brooch as a gift to Patience and promises she'll always look out for her. But now, guess what? All this whole time, this wraith is hiding in her fucking closet. WTF?
No,
how did he get there?
Creepy stalker motherfucker. Like, it's worse. You're in a teenage girl's room. And so he is in her closet. And then so she screams. Everyone runs upstairs. I get a jump scare. Yeah,
totally jump scare.
It was a good one. And everyone runs upstairs and the window open and Patience is gone.
Mm-hmm. So Dean's now checking all of the traffic cameras, just like chilling, just opens his laptop. Did he have his laptop? I guess it's in the car, but still.
I guess his laptop was in the car and he can now just hop into anybody's. Yeah.
And Jody's calling the local sheriff, but James is like, no, I've got my own way. And he gets a wooden box that has a picture of Missouri in it and a bag of rocks.
He got a bag of rocks and he takes this down. And this is a bag of what he calls lithomantic gems. And he says that Missouri taught him how to use them and they can use them to find patients. So let's talk about what lithomantic gems are. This is lore. So lithomantic stones are the ones he used for lithomancy. So what is the
that's lore?
That's lore. So it's a form of divination or telling that uses that in Greece it was called pessomancy, and pebbles were thrown to predict the future. The ancient Chinese cultures use lithomancy to influence decisions to predict events. There are numerous passages of the Bible talking about priests using seer stones to seek divine will. Lithomancy is also a form of kleromancy, which is divination done by casting lots and then determining the outcome by analyzing the outcome of the cast or throw. And according to the Good Witch's Homestead, the French word for a witch is sorcière. That's what I think I heard the thing say today. Sorcière. And it means one whose practice is sortilege or the casting of lots for the purpose of divination. And lithomancy can mean anything from a coin toss to stone casting with numerous stones. Austenite psychic and popular lithomancer Gary Wimmer uses the 16 stone method, which you guessed it, uses 16 stones. Gary uses a strip of leather to form a circle for casting. The inside of the circle represents the current 3-month cycle. The outside represents a longer term, and the circle represents the environment. So you've got this, basically you've got a circle and you've got some stones, right? Yeah. 10 of the stones are called planet stones, and they represent the astrological interpretations for the planets, plus the sun and the moon. Yes, Pluto is counted among the planets.
I was going to ask.
Yep. The additional 6 stones represent love, luck, life, magic, commitment, and place. He can add more stones if there's something specific to represent, like a goal. And so before the reading, though, he says he never asks any more questions than he has to. And if the reading is over the phone, he will ask the clients to focus on the specific situation. When both are ready, he asks the client to say drop, and Gary drops the stones in the circle. If the reading is in person, though, Gary will ask the client to handle and drop the stone, and then he interprets the pattern of the stones. Now, some traditions, like those from the British Isles, use 13 stones, and that is 7 stones for the Sun, Moon, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn. No Pluto. No Pluto for you. The other 6 stones are for home, love, life, magic, luck, and news. And to proceed with this divination, first you must say the Welsh charm, Ada, Ada, Io, Ada, Dia. And the Good Witch's Homestead did not know what those words meant, but they were sure they were old and powerful, which I always love. Like, just say these random things out loud. You don't know what they mean, but I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah.
Then you light a candle and incense in a dimly lit room and bless them both. Then you bless salt and water, place some salt in the water, and stir with either your finger or your wand 3 times, and then use whichever you use to stir it with to touch your third eye and your eyelid. So if you're using your wand, don't poke yourself in the eye too hard. Okay, then you're supposed to relax.
Salt water on the stick with your eye.
Going, to my contact. You do some deep breathing and you think about your question. You take your stone bag or your bag of rocks and you touch your third eye with it, not too hard. Then you take
Sorry, I'm not laughing at the process. I was just imagining someone going whack.
Then you take an athame, and I was like, "Oh, I need an athame for this demonstration." I was like, "All I have is my switchblade," which I'm not going to try and open blind because I'm going to stab myself. I'm going to put my switchblade down right now. Yes. Okay, so you take your knife and you circle the cord circle 3 times while saying. Okay. Witch's garter, bind the spell, 13 stones, the truth foretell, earth and water, wind and flame, magic in the old one's name. Then you put down your knife and you say the ada, lo ada, dida, whatever that thing is, like 3 more times. Then you cast the stones into the circle and you look at the way that they end up and you interpret the patterns. You can only throw the stones 3 times in one sitting. This will allow for 1 general reading and 2 specific questions. I don't know what happens if you try and throw them a 4th time, but apparently only 3 times. Okay. There are various ways the casting can be interpreted. For this episode, they were casting on a literal map. Right.
To locate as a locator.
As a locator spell. Another way you could do it would be to have your circle be like a compass where the center would be the present situation. North represents future influence. West would be obstacles. East, helpful elements. And the south represent past influences. So whichever stones lie on which, and you can kind of use what like those planetary influences mean to you. Right. Or you can read it like an astrological chart, clockwise, where each clock hand represents a house. For example, the first house is for life and appearance, the second for finance and values, the third for communication, etc., depending on how you interpret that chart. What stones can you use? This feels really subjective and is based on your interpretation of the power of stones and crystals. Some seem like obvious choices, like using moonstone to represent the moon or bloodstone for Mars. For the non-astrological signs, again, it is subjective based on your feeling about the rock. For a luck stone, you could use a cross stone, a holy stone, an opal, or any rock that feels lucky to you. A home stone should remind you of home. You could use rose quartz as a love stone or any other pink stone or one that looks like a heart, right? So, and this is how I always kind of like the meanings that rocks have. I'm not like, I know people really into crystals, and again, I know and rocks, and I love a rock. I mean, rocks are fun.
You love the rock too, so
I also do love the rock. Please don't let me down, sir. All right, so. But again, if you're really like, it can't be the energy that you're feeling off of a rock, or, and I also kind of think about this. We talked about it with, rocks on the show or rocks in general that you use in magic. Like, where did they come from? Right? Is it from a rock quarry? Is it from a river? Was it used to like hit somebody over the head with? Like, what is the kind of all these things could influence how this rock could be. I was about to say how this rock could feel, but I guess like rocks don't feel, but they do have you can touch a rock and it has a feeling.
Yeah. Or anything can give you a feeling. Like it's like, was the Marie Kondo of it all. Like if you touch something and how you feel about it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy when you go into like a magic store and they have the boxes of rocks where you can go through and like kind of play with them. But at the same time, I'm like, ooh, all these people touched it. So all their, like, if energy is real, then it has all these people's energy on it. Then you have to go. Anyways,
I thought you were just going to talk about boogers at that point. So I mean,
or just putting a crystal up your twat. Somehow this is all going to come back to the twat crystal, but. Anyhow, so close things up. What about, where do you keep your stones? Speaking of twat crystals, stones should be kept in a dedicated receptacle, right? So a bag should be sufficient. But if you're concerned about chipping rocks against each other, like if you've got like nice stones, like you don't really want, or them kind of like mixing up and mixing together. I don't know, like chemistry things mixing up. Maybe that rock doesn't feel like being next to that other rock. You could get a compartmentalized box. Or if you're like really like into it, you could have like a case like full of like drawers. And they had I saw someone who had an example of like it was an Asian chest, and yeah, it had like, it was almost kind of like my filing cabinet drawers, but it was made out of wood, and so it was all these different cabinet, all these different drawers for all their different rocks, and that
curio, little
like a curio
containers.
cabinet, but for rocks, and that did bring me joy.
Yeah, I can see that. I was like, oh,
yeah,
that sounds lovely.
Yeah. Or I was like, ooh, organized, like rocks organized by color and like all the like those things. Like, yes, I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Whether I think you can use them to foretell the future, or as in this case, you can in the episode use them as a locator spell.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's all. To each their own. But yeah, that's what that's what James meant when he said lithomantic gems.
Lithomantic gems. So they are going to use what he used to find his mother with to find Patience. So we see that Patience is tied to a chair in some abandoned warehouse place.
I just called it the Wraith's hideout.
There you go. And he's there, and
he has to monologue. And so he gives his villain monologue about the first psychic he drained and why he likes psychics and how Missouri was the best he ever had. And since Patience is so young and healthy, he can stretch this out. He's just so nasty.
Gross. Super gross. And she tells him gross, and I appreciate that. Yeah. But she also says she's not psychic. And so he's going to do a taste test. Ugh. It's so gross.
It's just icky. It's just not, none of us like it. But at least when he goes to poke her, there is a noise and the gang bursts in.
Yeah. Dean, Jody, and James are there, and Dean and Jody are going to go hunt the Wraith while James tends to Patience. But the Wraith is there and stabs James in the fucking throat. It's very upsetting. And then Jody tries to fight the Wraith, and the Wraith makes Jody stab herself, and she's with a knife, not with the pokey thing. And then Dean comes in. It's so fucked up. And then Dean runs in with a gun, but the Wraith stabs the fucking shit out of Dean Winchester.
Repeatedly stabs him.
Distressing. And that's when you know that this isn't really happening, because that's when you're like, oh no. Now I'm like, this is too much. We have crossed the line. She is having a psychic vision. So the scene starts all over, and so she yells just in time to keep the Wraith from killing her dad, and then yells again, and because Patience warns her, so she gets knocked out but doesn't get stabbed, so that's good for Jody. And then but Wraith has a knife and pins Dean, and they have a big fight. And Dean loses this gun. He is not having a good gun episode.
He's not. But then he ends up fighting with the rope. They fight more. And then I have Dean picks up a what? He picks up a something. I don't know what it was. It was like, and he eventually
like a mini
kills
scythe? I don't know.
I don't know. It was like, is this a scythe? Because I was like, why is it a scythe? And I was like, no, that can't be a scythe. And so then I was like, just a question mark. And he eventually uses whatever that was to kill the Wraith.
Yeah. I just did Dean stabs Wraith because I was like, I didn't know. There we go.
I'm glad I was not the only one. I was like, what is that?
Why is that there? So everybody wakes up. They got knocked out. And Dean asks Patience how she knew. And she's like, I guess I am psychic. Yeah. So, So we cut outdoors, and Jody and Dean are talking about, how he took down, or, taking down this Wraith. And Patience walks up, and she's thanking them, and she is, she wants, her dad wants her to put, not use her gift and go back to normal. And that's where, the family stuff goes on. And Dean's like, yeah, you should do that. There's no joy in the monster life. It's just pain, horror, and death. Take normal if you can. Thanks for the pep talk.
Thanks for the pain, horror, and death.
Yeah.
And then Jody's like, hold up.
Yeah. Let's have a rational conversation, because I'm Jody.
I might be thinking, she's like, maybe I think a little different than Sadie McSad Pants over here. But she's like, and this is where I'm kind of like, Jody. She says that she thought keeping Claire in line would keep her safe, but it never does. And I'm like, are you letting her go out? Like, are you really safe? Anyways, but she, at least in her mind, she thinks she's a cool mom now. And tells Patience that if you try and force down your gift to make someone else happy, you'll always be miserable. And she's like, here's my card. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it was more of like a, look, if you're going to, if like when a parent tries to like keep you from like, not out of like bad shit actually, but like, it's like, they're like, don't, someone tells you, you can't do this. It's like, makes you want to do it more.
Right. But I still don't think she's totally cool with Claire being,
No.
But she's not keeping her in line. Anyways, here's my card, and my door is always open, you little wayward girl. And so she gives her card, and so now we know that they can keep in touch. Which, yay. Yes.
Instead of sad sack Dean.
Instead of sad sack Dean, we've got some girls who are going to talk to each other, maybe. And so sad sack Dean's going to go back home. And Sam's just like, how does it go? But at least like he also already knows about Missouri, so Dean doesn't have to tell him, which I think is a nice thing for Dean, not to have to be like, by the way, Missouri died.
Someone else died. Yeah, that's probably a good thing. So Dean is immediately like, oh, did Jack go dark side yet? Like, come on, Dean, you're such a dick. Anyways.
And Sam finally is just like, you're the reason. If anything is going to make Jack messed up, it's you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I told the truth. You think you can use this freak, but I know how it ends. Bad. And Jack's listening to all this, which is really sad. And Sam shares with Dean how he views it, and that he sees himself in Jack, where everybody thought it was bad, and thinks he's a freak, and he's like, it's totally different. And Sam's like, no. Dad told you to put a bullet in me, and you didn't. You saved me. Help me save him. And Dean's like, you deserve to be saved. He doesn't. Damn, Dean, you are fucked right now.
You're so fucked. And Sam's is immediately like, of course he dies. Like, what the fuck? Why wouldn't he? He's a little baby. I know he's a grown-ass boy, but he's still a fucking baby. And he's just a man-child. Anyway, so, and then Dean is accusing Sam of just wanting to use Jack to open up the portal to go get his mom.
Interdimensional can opener is what he calls him.
Yes.
I found amusing. Yeah. And so, and Sam reminds him that Mom made her own choice, that wasn't even part of the fucking plan. She went rogue, basically. But Dean's not buying it. He thinks that Castiel was manipulated and got dead over it. And when he says Castiel, Jack's eyes glow, and he says Castiel.
Yeah. And as Jack says Castiel and his eyes glow, there's a dark black space. And in that dark black space is a man in a trench coat who hears the words, Castiel, be whispered. And that's where we end.
He opens his eyes. Yes, that's where we end. Yeah, crazy.
So before we wrap this up, do we have people to talk about? I was thinking...
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
Yeah, we have a few. So I won't spend a ton of time on Missouri, as we've talked. I mean, I know it's been a while, but she was played by Loretta Devine. You could recognize her as Shaniqua in Crash. She was an ongoing character named Marla on Boston Public. She was Reese in Urban Legend, and Adele in Grey's Anatomy, some of her major roles.
She was so good as Adele. I really loved her as that role. Anyways.
Patience was played by Clark Bacco. She's been in episodes of Beauty and the Beast, Winona Earp, The Girlfriend Experience, Designated Survivor, The Handmaid's Tale, and Murder in a Small Town. She was Emma in The Changeling as a recurring character, Rosie in Letterkenny.
Yes, she was.
And Sadie in the movie Venom, The Last Dance. Our Wraith was played by John Core. He's been in episodes of Suits and Being Human. He was Ryan in Saw 3D, Hodge in Shadowhunters as a reoccurring character. And he was Mark/Negative Speed Force in The Flash as a reoccurring character. He's also done a lot of Hallmark. James was played by Adrian Holmes. He's been in other episodes. We see him a few times in Supernatural, different characters, though. He's been in episodes of L Word, 4400, True Calling, Painkiller Jane, Fringe, Smallville V, Winona Earp, and a couple episodes of Letterkenny, funny enough, as well as The Boys. He was Frank in Arrow as a recurring character. Johnny in Skyscraper. There's your rock reference. Philip in Philip in Bel Air. That's the Fresh Prince remake. As the main Philip character. And
Uncle Phil.
Yeah. And an admiral in the new series, the Star Trek Strange New World. He's also done some voice work in both Hot Wheels and Bratz animated shows. Dee Dee, who we saw briefly, was played by Chelsea Rice, and she's been in episodes of The 100, Van Helsing, Fargo, Travelers, and has done a lot of Hallmark work as well.
Cool. Yeah, that was a very strong cast this episode from Dee Dee through to, obviously it was so good to have Missouri back, even if they only brought her back just to fucking kill her.
Just to kill her. So rude.
It was unnecessary.
I know.
I mean, I know it pushes the story forward, but she didn't have to die.
No.
She could have just had to go
through.
She could have they could have just gone to go, I don't know, visit her granddaughter. Yeah. But I don't know. Like I said, it was good to see her back, even if it was just for the short thing, because I really like her as a character. And it was, and like I said, the fun fact about how that ended up becoming Bobby Singer in season 1, when she was in there, she did have such a maternal presence to Sam and Dean. And so the fact that they didn't seem to be that affected by her death, I thought was kind of weird.
I could see that. I think I kind of didn't. I felt like they were. I feel like they're just so resigned right now because they've lost so many people recently. Yeah. And so I think that, and then knowing that she knew and she sacrificed for her family, you'd think that would have had a little more impact, I guess. But that was the bigger thing, I thought. But I felt like they were just pretty resigned about it. But I also think that that would have been a really interesting trajectory of the story had she been a bigger part of it throughout. Because having a maternal figure as opposed to a paternal figure, which they had through Bobby, would an interesting take.
I mean, also it would have put a lot more female energy into the show. In an alternate dimension, that's the supernatural that gets made instead of
Missouri instead of Bobby.
Missouri instead of Bobby. Okay. Yeah, so that's the Apocalypse Land, the next one. Instead of we're reversing this. Instead of it's just Mary and Lucifer, and this is the world where or Missouri doesn't die and stays in the first season. So anyways, we didn't go to Apocalypse Land this episode. No. Speaking of, so Mary and Lucifer's storyline kind of stays on hold. It was always good to have Jody back. So
always, never mad at that.
She did a good episode. Her hair looks super cute.
Always. Yeah, I enjoyed the storyline with Patience and of course with Missouri, but I felt like I was an enjoyable episode for that, but it was kind of it was almost standalone because of it was, a little bit at the front end and the back end dealing with the Jack scenario, but that wasn't a significant driver of the episode, which is interesting right now. The biggest driver that's a carryover is Dean being an asshole.
Yes. But I think we're also that is true, but as it's a standalone, but it's also introducing us to Patience and bringing her and Jody together. And so this is starting of the Wayward Sisters storyline, which is slowly creeping out of the background.
Yeah.
And you'll start seeing that. But, which is, as a SPN family fan person, I do love the Wayward Sisters storyline. So anyhow, I'm glad that's finally happening. And yeah. Any other thoughts you had?
No.
All right. Let I say cheers, Doug.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios podcast network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.